Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I am very excited to be reviewing the new Jurassic World Rebirth Aerial Ambush Quetzalcoatlus. This figure being based off the new film Jurassic World Rebirth, which I am very stoked. And yeah, first thoughts on this figure is that it looks massive, yes, massive, and it looks incredible. I can't wait to get into it, but before that, let's get through the box. So here we have an image render of the Quetzalcoatlus from the movie. On top here, we have the size chart and also advertisement for the Jurassic World Facts app, which is now called Jurassic World Play. Unless they're making a new video game, which will be interesting. Here's the Jurassic World Rebirth logo, which looks beautiful. And then at the back, some features of the figure itself with some nice backdrop of the mountain, which is where we see this dinosaur in the trailers, where we see him attacking our main crew of humans at the mountain when they're trying to take its babies or eggs, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, so without further ado, let's get into this figure. Okay, so here we have the figure out of its box, and I have to say it's pretty good. I would say this might be the best mainline pterosaur that Mattel has ever given us. Before I get into comparisons with the previous pterosaurs that have been made for the Jurassic franchise, let's get into the figure itself. So first of all, the model itself, it looks incredible. This isn't a scientifically accurate Quetzalcoatlus, if I'm not wrong, and it's more of a InGen freak of nature, you know, where InGen doesn't make scientifically accurate dinosaurs, sort of similar to a real life company right now making wolves and saying that they've made extinct wolves. But yeah, anyways, the head sculpt looks incredible on this, where they've done all the quills and that curve on the snout. That looks very nice. However, I would have liked if they had more of an orange highlight on the nose here. Just a small nitpick, as I think that was shown on, let me see. Yeah, that was shown on the image render itself. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if that's orange, but yeah. And also it shows that it's blue on the neck. Here it doesn't have that. However, when it comes down to accuracy, I don't expect that much from the mainline figures, but yeah. There's not that much paint on this figure. Throughout the entire body, it only uses a solid black, and I wish they did dry brushing some there and there, or added more paint jobs to it, but that's a bit of a nitpick, as this is more of a mainline toy. It's not the Hammond collection, which is why I'm okay with them skimping out on paint. However, the wings, I love the wings. They are using something that Kenner only did, being fabric wings, and I love that. It's a very nice play feature. I would count this as a play feature itself. It's a very nice play feature. I love the way the wings are done on both sides, and the detail on the wings itself are quite good. So yeah. On the belly side though, unfortunately you don't get that orange underside which was shown on the figure, on the image render, sorry. So yeah, that is a shame, but here's the voice box, where if you want to replace the battery, here it is. And for those of you who want it, okay, this is gonna be quite tough, but here is the scan code for the Jurassic World Fact apps. So yep, scan that if you can. I'm sorry if you can't, but yeah, So, the play features of this figure, it actually has a few play features. I think it has around 3 play features. First play feature is, this is the most boring play feature, I think. And I would have preferred if they made it a button instead of doing it this way, but on the box and on the paper which says how to use the toy, it says to flap its wings, you need to shake it basically. So yeah, I know you can't see that, I'm sorry, but the only way you can flap its wings really is by shaking it, or if you want to, you can move the arms by themselves. However, you need to move both individually and it won't stay, well, it won't stay in that position that well. So yeah, so that's the first play feature. I don't think it's a great play feature. Then the second one is this button. Well, you just heard it. Yup, that play feature activates the voice box. And also, yes, ooh. Oh. So you have about 3 different voice lines for this figure, and I think they all sound very nice. I think they sound nice indeed. But also one more thing, when you roar, I love that they sculpted the tongue out instead of the usual way where they sculpt the tongue inside of the mouth. So yeah, I love that. That's a very nice detail right there. So yeah. So that's the second play feature, which is very nice. And the third play feature is more of a 2-part, and this, I think, makes this the best pterosaur figure in the Jurassic franchise. Hell, I think this is even better than the Hammond Collection and the Amber Collection pterosaurs. I know a lot of people are gonna be mad at me for that, but those Amber Collection and Hammond Collection, after a while, they won't, you can't make them really do this, where you can lock the arms into position and you can make it stand in its neutral pose when it's sitting down on a rock or something. So yeah, I think that's incredible, where finally, after a long time, I think this is one of the first few pterosaur figures to do this properly. Now don't get me wrong, the Hammond Collection and Amber Collection can do it. However, it's quite tough to get those figures in that position, where for this, it's simple because it uses fabric wings. And yeah, I just think that that's amazing that we finally got a pterosaur that can sit down. And the second part of this feature, you press this button and there we go. So yeah, I think that is an amazing feature that rarely sells this figure for me. Oh yeah, and if you want, this is how big the figure is. It is, I think this is one of the biggest pterosaur figures also ever made in the Jurassic franchise. Please comment in the section down below if I'm wrong about the sitting position, if another figure could have done it way better than the Amber and Hammond Collection. And also comment in the section down below if there's a bigger pterosaur figure. I'm not gonna count the super colossal figures, however I don't think there's any super colossal of any pterosaur, so I think I'm safe there. But yeah, this is overall an incredible figure. And just, I'm gonna compare it now. But before comparing, I just found this out also. This figure also has, I think, quite decent articulation. Where, on the feet, first of all, you can move the feet down 90 degrees and up. negative 90 degrees also. And then also on the foot, there's a hinge joint, which allows you to move back that far and move forward that much. And then also for the hands, they are on a hinge joint, however you can rotate it 360 degrees and bend it down that much and bend it up that much. And then for the neck, you can't really look up that much, but it is there. And the neck, you can look down that much, look up that much, and there's also a bit of a rotation. You can look side to side. So the articulation isn't the strongest part of this figure, but most mainline Jurassic Park figures are like that, and you're really buying it for the play features. So yeah. However, now let's compare it to what I think are the two other best pterosaur figures in the Jurassic franchise, in the main toy line. And first of all, we have, I showed this recently on another video, being the Kenner Pteranodon. Now, the one thing this Kenner Pteranodon I think does better is the flapping feature, where you press this button and it goes up and down. I think they did that better. Also, this has toe articulation, however, I'm not that bothered on that. But this was the first figure to introduce the fabric wings, and that was the last figure to do it, I think. After Kenner was done, Hasbro didn't do anything like this. They made their wings fully out of plastic, and also Mattel. So yeah. However, one thing, Mattel definitely was inspired by this figure, was that landing position, or doing something, a locking mechanism with the wings. As with this figure, you could put the wings in there, tuck it in like so. So yeah. However, it doesn't really make sense, and this is not a good like sitting position. So yeah. And also the unlock, you press the button again, it unlocks it. So yeah, this was the Kenner Pteranodon. So what I think Mattel did better was, it definitely copied a few ideas off of this, being the fabric wings and the locking mechanism, and you press again, it unlocks it. However, I think Mattel did it better because it locks into a position which actually makes sense for a pteranodon. Oh no, a pterosaur, sorry. As it doesn't make sense at all for a pterosaur to sit down like this. So yeah. So that is the Kenner Pteranodon, where I think this does way better. And this is the Jurassic World Dominion Quetzalcoatlus. First of all, I would like to say, in the films, I think the Dominion Quetzalcoatlus is way bigger than the Rebirth Quetzalcoatlus. However, yep, the wingspan alone is a major difference. So yeah. Also, if you want, here is the QR code for the Jurassic World Facts app. But yeah, so the main play features on this figure was you press this button again, it flaps the wings, and there's a button on the belly, you press that, it opens up its jaw. So yeah. However, I don't like it that most Mattel Pteranodons and Pterosaurs back then used this feature where it wasn't really connected. I think the thing they're doing now is brilliant. So yeah. So the play features on this new figure, the raw button is definitely inspired by their line of Mattel figures, because most pterosaurs have a button which allows you to open the mouth. And raw also, I think the pteranodons from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom and Jurassic World Dominion had that feature. However, the fabric wings are inspired by the Kenner figures, and I love that. And what they're doing, and they're improving upon that by making it a locking mechanism in the sitting pose, which I don't think any pterosaur figures can really do. So yeah, so overall, do I think this is a figure worth picking up? Yes, definitely pick this up. I think this is the best pterosaur figure to date. But if you have any objections of this figure, please tell me in the comment section down below, and please tell me how I can improve upon my videos. But that's it for now. Unfortunately, I am gonna be hunting for the Spinosaur figure in Singapore, so hopefully it's somewhere in Singapore. So yeah. But have a nice day, and go have a good time trying to hunt for this, as I definitely recommend buying this. And until the next video, goodbye for now, and